The Golden State Warriors are back, and Stephen Curry is already in mid-season form. On Sunday night, the two-time MVP lit up the Los Angeles Lakers from deep, dropping 11 of his 14 points in the first quarter and setting the tone for a sharp, confident win in preseason action. Final score: Golden State Warriors 111, Los Angeles Lakers 103. But this wasn't just another preseason game. It marked the Warriors' debut of veteran center Al Horford, a key offseason addition who immediately showed why Golden State brought him in. And for the Lakers, it was yet another game without their stars. Another reminder of just how thin things look when LeBron James and Luka Doncic are not on the floor. Sunday's matchup at Chase Center was more than just a warm-up. It was the first real look at a new version of the Warriors, a mix of their championship DNA and fresh veteran leadership. Golden State came in nearly full strength, missing only Seth Curry and Anthony Melton, who are still working back from minor injuries. Their starting five featured Stephen Curry, Brandon Pajimski, Moses Moody, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Yes, Jimmy Butler, one of the biggest moves of the offseason, suiting up for his first run with Curry. Off the bench came Al Horford, Jonathan Kuminga, Buddy Hield, and a handful of young rotation hopefuls. On the other side, the Lakers once again looked like a patchwork team. LeBron James and Luka Doncic rested. Austin Reeves, who had played in their previous game against the Suns, also sat out. Marcus Smart, Maxi Kleber, and Addo Thero remained unavailable. That left a starting lineup of Gabe Vincent, Jake LaRavia, Rui Hachimura, Jared Vanderbilt, and DeAndre Ayton. Not a bad group, but far from full strength. From the opening tip, Golden State played with rhythm, movement, and tempo. The Warriors' offense looked familiar: motion, spacing, and non-stop off-ball cuts, but with a few new wrinkles. Draymond and Horford split defensive duties, allowing both to switch and communicate seamlessly. Curry wasted no time heating up. He dropped 11 points in the first quarter alone, drilling deep threes and curling off screens like it was already January. By the end of the first frame, Golden State led comfortably, and the ball was flying around with classic Warriors precision. But this wasn't a one-man show. Moses Moody, back from an off-season finger injury that had slowed him last postseason, looked locked in, knocking down 5 three-pointers and finishing with 19 points. After a tough playoff stretch earlier this year, Moody's shooting and energy felt like a fresh start. And then there was Al Horford. At 38 years old, he's not the most athletic player on the floor, but he might be one of the smartest. In his first game as a Warrior, Horford looked completely at home. He defended the paint, made sharp rotations, and stretched the floor with his shooting threat. Sharing the floor with Draymond Green, the two veterans read each other perfectly, calling out defensive switches, covering each other's assignments, and setting the tone for the younger guys that it wasn't about stats, it was about impact. Horford finished with a modest line, but his presence made the defense click. The combination of his experience and Draymond's energy could quietly be one of the best frontcourt pairings the Warriors have had in years. What really stood out in this game was how well Golden State moved the ball. Brandon Pajimski pushed the pace. Buddy Hield spaced the floor beautifully, and every possession seemed to flow naturally into the next. Even when Curry sat down after the first half, the Warriors didn't slow down. Their offense stayed organized, unselfish, and balanced. Pat Spencer came in from the second unit and immediately turned heads with his defense, applying on-ball pressure and creating turnovers that led to transition buckets. By halftime, the Warriors had built a small but comfortable lead, thanks to their defense and hot shooting. To be fair, the Lakers didn't look bad early on. The first half was actually their best stretch of basketball so far this preseason. They matched Golden State's energy for much of the opening 24 minutes, even taking a brief lead at one point. Gabe Vincent was outstanding, aggressive, confident, and vocal. He scored 16 points and dished out 5 assists, finally looking like the player who helped Miami reach the finals 2 years ago. Jake LaRavia also impressed, adding 10 points with solid shooting and effort. And then there was Jared Vanderbilt flying everywhere, diving for loose balls, cutting hard to the rim, and defending like it was Game 7. For a half, the Lakers looked competitive, but then came the third quarter. Golden State erupted for 40 points in the third period alone, completely flipping the game's momentum. The ball movement, spacing, and shooting overwhelmed Los Angeles defense. The Lakers simply couldn't match the speed or communication of the Warriors. Their rotations broke down, shooters were left open, and the lead ballooned into double digits. Even as the Warriors rotated in bench players, the rhythm never disappeared. Moses Moody stayed hot from deep. Buddy Hield found his range, adding 11 points off the bench. Kuminga attacked in transition, and Horford continued to quarterback the defense, keeping things organized while Curry rested. By the time the fourth quarter started, Golden State had full control. To their credit, the Lakers didn't quit. In the fourth quarter, a young unit led by Nick Smith Jr. tightened up defensively, holding the Warriors to just 9 points over several minutes. They cut the deficit to single digits, but it wasn't enough. Golden State's experience and poise carried them through the final stretch. Closing out the 111-103 win. It was another tough preseason loss for Los Angeles, their second in a row, and another night without their main stars. But it wasn't all bad news. The bench showed flashes, and Gabe Vincent looked ready for a bigger role once the season begins. Still, the difference between the two teams was obvious. The Warriors looked polished. The Lakers looked incomplete. Stephen Curry didn't need to play long to remind everyone who he is. His first quarter burst, 11 of 14 total points, came with effortless range and rhythm. It wasn't about numbers, it was about control. The offense flowed through him, but it didn't rely on him. Curry has often talked about wanting this next chapter of the Warriors to be about sustainability, developing a system that can win even when he's not on the floor. And for the first time in a while, that vision looked real. The addition of Al Horford might end up being the most underrated move of the entire offseason. He gives Golden State something they've lacked since their championship core was in its prime, a stabilizing veteran big who can shoot, defend, and think the game at the highest level. Pairing him with Draymond Green gives Steve Kerr two defensive quarterbacks who can both stretch the floor and make reads. Their communication was elite, their chemistry immediate, and their presence allowed shooters like Moody and Hield to thrive without worrying about what was happening behind them. It's preseason, but it already feels like Horford could be a dip. Yes, it's only preseason, but the Warriors look sharper than they have in years at this stage. Their offense has balance, their defense has structure, and their depth looks real. The young players are competing for minutes, the veterans are locked in, and Curry looks fresh and focused. For the Lakers, though, it's another sign that this team still has a long way to go when LeBron and Luka aren't available. They showed effort, they showed flashes, but without their stars, the offense lacks creation and consistency. And in a Western Conference that's deeper than ever, that could become a major storyline this season. Sunday's slate also featured another standout performance. The Oklahoma City Thunder crushed the Charlotte Hornets, 135-114. Even without their starters, OKC looked electric. Aaron Wiggins, Ousmane Dieng, and Jalen Williams led the way, while young players Chris Youngblood and Brooks Barnhizer made strong impressions. For Charlotte, rookie Con Newpole provided a bright spot with solid shooting and hustle. But defensively, the Hornets were overwhelmed. That was another reminder that OKC's depth is no joke. They're already one of the most exciting young teams in the league. Back to the Warriors. What stood out the most in this game wasn't Curry's shooting, we've seen that for a decade. But how complete the team looked. Jimmy Butler brings a new edge. Horford brings balance. The bench brings energy. And the system, it still works. For all the talk about whether the dynasty is over, Golden State just looked like a team that still knows how to win, regardless of the month or the stakes. If this version stays healthy, they're not just a playoff team, they're a problem. So, what did we learn from Warriors 111, Lakers 103? That chemistry and identity matter, even in October. Golden State looked connected, confident, and organized. Los Angeles looked like they're still searching for answers. It's preseason, but every season starts somewhere. Curry is still magic from deep. Horford looks like the perfect fit. And the Warriors, for all their changes, might just be ready to write one more chapter. What do you think? Are the Warriors quietly building another run behind Curry, or is this just early preseason noise? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. And if you enjoy in-depth NBA analysis like this, be sure to subscribe now. There's another video coming up that you'll really enjoy watching. Click and we'll see you there.